Hey Collective, it's Alan. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is actually going to be dedicated towards a little bit of a follow-up on something that I had never actually disclosed before, which was how this journey all began. I had alluded to the fact that I had started this journey by the divine universe basically downloading me an informational piece that said that it wanted me to take a chance and take the spiritual journey and walk into the unknown at the end of 2019 to 2020, and that I wasn't going to necessarily like how it came about, but that I would be most rewarded if I did it. And I never explained to you how it actually all began. And yesterday I was on my walk trying to figure out how to conclude the fifth and final, if you will, final. It may not be the final, but the concluding piece to the 5-part series I was doing towards Elon Musk. And while I was trying to figure out what it was that I kept running into a roadblock on, I realized that the story actually began when I was bartending at a little place called New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood right on Decatur, in the middle of the French Quarter. And I was minding my own business one day, and I'd been already awakened, and I had been, it was the beginning stages of mine going into the Dark Night of the Soul journey. And a wonderfully beautiful male walked into my bar, blonde, if I remember correctly, it was like a dirty blonde with blue eyes. I can't remember the details of him specifically, but I remember thinking in my head, I was like, wow, he's like really, really sexy. And I had been going through this kind of like thing where I wasn't really dating anybody and all that stuff. And so when he walked in, he kind of took my breath away to some degree. And he sat down, and for once in a rare moon, he was essentially by himself at the bar. Normally I'm always packed with people, and as I was sitting there, I decided I was going to talk to him, obviously, and so we spoke for a little bit, and I couldn't take my eyes out of his eyes. Like, I couldn't stop staring at him. So finally I asked him what he was doing in New Orleans, and he explained to me that he was on a spiritual journey, and that he had come through New Orleans as part of his tour across the country. And I remember being very intrigued by it, because in my spiritual practice, if you will, my journey into meditation and so forth, I'd come to realize this epiphany that the divine universe, God, Allah, the architect, whatever you want to call it, the ethers, whatever it is, the collective consciousness and so forth, had tapped me to do something similar. So the fact that this man, this gorgeous hunk of man, had walked into my bar and sat down, kind of was a big indicator that I was indeed going to be doing the same thing. And so I was asking him questions relating to the journey itself and how he was paying for it. And he didn't really give me an answer to the question. He just kind of alluded to the fact that it just worked out, and that I was like, well, how did you find the time, and how did you have the balls to do it? And he said, it's interesting, when he was called to action, when he was called to mission, he didn't know how he would do it either, and that if I am indeed interested in doing it, to just know that it's not accidental that he walked into my life. And so as I was walking up the proverbial mountain, well, literal mountain, actually, not even proverbial mountain, I was literally walking up the mountain over Griffith Observatory yesterday, thinking about what the roadblock was. And I realized it wasn't a roadblock. What it was I was at the end of the journey and completion. That karmic cycle is officially done. And the reason I know that is because they downloaded that memory. And I realized that what was happening is I had completed is what I was trying to say, completed the cycle where I had gone on spiritual mission, and I had indeed followed up with what he and I had discussed. And I was actually listening to, I can't remember his name, something DeVito. He's a DJ. Because I suddenly had this impression that the divine, whatever you call God, has this impression that I'm going to marry a DJ. For some reason, I just thought that I was giggling about that because the music was really good. And for some reason, I started thinking about David Palmer, actually, at the moment, because he's a DJ. Not that I'm going to marry him or anything like that. Don't get all weird. But it reminded me of him in that moment. And I remember about spirituality, and I was thinking about my journey as a whole, and how I came to Los Angeles because I was being propelled to do so. And it all began with that gentleman who walked into my bar. So whoever you are, if I ever see you again, I'm going to give you a big old hug, because you are what verified that there is order to the chaos that we live in. So I just wanted to jump on here and kind of explain a little bit more in detail why I decided to do this, and why I was insane enough to follow the divine's plan and to just take a leap of faith and do it, and acknowledge that it appears that I am wrapping up my time here in Los Angeles, I guess, because what I was here to do, it didn't pan out the way it was meant to. But because of the fact that it bookmarks his introduction into my life and how he kicked off the confirmation that I was indeed going and that it would all work out, and that it did indeed work out. I guess my being reminded of the story is now empowering you all, whoever sees this, to know that if you ever get called to do spiritual mission, that it's not the most glamorous thing you're ever going to experience, but it is indeed one of the most rewarding. And I can testify firsthand, just like he did for me, that it will always work out, and that if you trust the divine universe, whatever you call this simulation, that they will always take care of you if you believe so. And it reminded me of the statement that God made to me, my higher self, if you will, my highest expression of self, let me put it that way, so people don't think I'm all weird. But when I was told, when I was walking into the homeless shelter, when he said, "You are on my payroll now. You are absolutely safe unless you believe that you're not, in which case you're on your own." And I remember that statement as I was walking up the hill and I was listening to music, thinking about different people, spiritual gurus and leaders, and I realized how much I had changed. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it appears that with my arc ending in this regard, and my now moving towards actually working with, trying to get this show on the air and up and running, I should say, and starting to really try to work with people like Elon Musk. As you guys know, I'm very fascinated with him. He's not a mentor, but necessarily, well, he could be, but more like just a hero of mine. And the likes of Anderson Cooper, who of course I have a huge crush on. Oh, the young blue eyes over there. But as I wrap up my journey, it suddenly dawned on me that many of you are now being tapped to go out on your own. So, to that end, let me just say what the guy said to me when I first went on my mission, which was, you won't always know how it's going to go. And it's going to try you. It's going to put you through your paces. You're going to discover aspects of yourself that you don't like. And you're going to realize things and strengths that you have that you do like. And the journey is going to be one of solidarity with the divine, whatever you call the source of all creation. And you definitely will have challenges. But remember, every obstacle is just an opportunity waiting for you to discover it, if you look at it from the right perspective. So as you guys embark on your next journey, so I'm playing with my hair right now because it's tickling my back. As you embark on your journeys, understand that no, you don't know what you're walking into, but no one in the collective does right now. And as someone who has led this path before you, let me just say that at least you're not doing it during the coronavirus like I did. And understand that the divine would never tap you to do this if you are not indeed worthy, and that you are not capable of making it through. So when I'd gone on mine, I was only supposed to go for a year, if you guys recall, and I've been gone on it for a year and a half. And now that my birthday is coming up on the 1st of July, exactly a month from now, I realized that it's 11/11. I realized that my journey is ending in this regard, and now I get to go on the adventure part of it. The study is coming to a conclusion, and I've done all the work that I can do in the LA area for now. What the person that I was endeavoring to meet here didn't work out, but that's not a bad thing, I guess. It's just that there are other things awaiting me in the future. And it was interesting because of the timing. Remember that I was being nudged very, very firmly that it was time for me to move again, to get moving. And so as I was walking up the mountain listening to the DJ, DeVita, and I think it was Animals, the next one. The Animals, I think they're called, and they have another great DJ song. But as I was listening to it, I felt very empowered. And so what I want to bestow upon those of you who are now the next class, the next group of spiritual leaders that will arise from your journeys, just understand that though you at times will feel very, very challenged and that you will feel lost, understand that everyone in the collective is feeling that way. You're just lucky enough to have been selected by something higher than thee to be of service in some way, shape, or form. And from what I understand it, this is kind of like a boot camp for a lot of you. So if you find this video and you're feeling the call to bring you forward, to drop everything you're doing and to do the maddest thing in the world, to just walk away from your life and go and discover the truth of who you are and what you can become and what God sees of you, just know that you are absolutely worthy of it and that you absolutely will succeed as long as you believe you do. Just know that it's not going to be comfortable. It's not meant to. Remember, he's not making soldiers, he's making warriors. So those of you now graduate or going into this mission, understand that it will rock your boat. And you will lose a lot of people along the way, not to death or anything like that, although you could. But it'll be more about people that just you've outgrown. And it's going to be a very shocking experience. But always remember that there's no one more important in this world than you are. So though you are endeavoring to do something completely insane, as someone who is now working my way out of that and back into the world in a very, very spectacular way, where I believe my karma will reward me for my endeavors, even though that wasn't my motivation, just know that it will work out. You just have to trust your intuitive quality, and just remember that everyone in the collective is going to be doing this to some degree, depending on how close you are to being ransomed by something higher than they. And so that's a really great honor. So as you all go, and as I exit and return to, I guess, lead the pack in a way, because I'm being called to do something really badass. It wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have had the balls to actually listen to my intuitive nature and to my highest self and to God when it said, I'm going to make you face yourself, and I'm going to make you a warrior. Not just any warrior, but like a colonel. You're going to rock the shit, and you're going to do it. And how that translated to me walking into LA, thinking I was going to stay with a friend, and then that failed, of course, and I ended up at a homeless shelter in the middle of COVID. And I just remember thinking, well, this is just fucking great. And it was the best experience of my life. And so I can tell that it's now officially over. All these timelines are colliding with each other, and I'm having such a big push to make a decision on whether I stay in LA or I move. And seeing as I don't really see the connection that I was here to, it's a past life connection that I was being drawn to, and I don't see that unnecessarily working out at the moment. So I have to face the truth of it's time to move on again. But the difference is that the same person who entered LA is not the same person who would be leaving and going somewhere else. And so now I'm looking at places like Texas or Louisiana again. I'm not really crazy about the Louisiana thing at the moment because I've already been there, done that, and a sober bartender may not be the best thing. I'm not going to do anything stupid. It's just I'm not sure that fits my vibration. So now the interesting adventure begins, which is finding a community that is made up of high vibrational people that are endeavoring to raise the collective vibration in a way that leads people out of the dark without being petty about it and without being competitive or downtrodden. I think that should be an interesting adventure for all of us to witness, which is why I think everything that I'm going after is going to pan out. But I just wanted to jump on here, you guys, and let you know that the way that this all began wasn't just an intuitive thing that happened. It was indeed, that's how it came to me, but that wasn't the only sign. An actual man walked into my life at my bar, sat down, gorgeous as can be, and had been tasked to do the exact same thing that I was being called to do. So if that is the signal that you've been waiting for, allow me to bestow upon you your welcome to the spiritual journey of your lifetime. Understand that you will not be the same person when you come back, and you probably won't speak to the same people that you did, but the people that you will attract and the life that you will lead is everything you ever wanted. That is the guarantee when you endeavor to face your fears. The collective as a whole will now have to face a lot of trauma and a lot of things that happen to them and that will happen to them as a result of hypocrisy, greed, and all that stuff that we spoke about during the course of all of this journey for me. But understand that those of you who are being called are special. You are not just anyone. You are special to God, to Allah, to the Buddha, to whoever you pray to, whether it's the architect, source, whatever it is. You are anointed. You are chosen for whatever demographic, or not demographic, whatever house you belong to. Understand that you are specifically being chosen by that deity to do the walk so that you can talk the talk and then actually lead the people that follow you. And that is a blessing in on of itself. So just know that as I wrap up mine for whatever reason, it's very clear that this is going to be a really great month for me before my birthday. And that a lot of dreams possibly will come true, and a lot of connections that I've been wanting to make are probably going to happen. Or will happen, I should say, be more positive, right? Just know that with my having done it before you, you know what to expect. Just look at all of this. Look at all of my work. Look at my LinkedIn articles. Look at all my videos on YouTube, whether it's on this channel or Altruistic channel, and look back over the course of my 1.5 years on spiritual mission in the middle of a pandemic, and know that yours will not be anywhere near severe, but know that it will be just as rewarding, and that something bigger than you thinks that you are the bomb, thinks that you are the best, thinks that you are going to change the world, and it's asking you now to trust your instincts and to follow the lead. It will be different for all of you. The one thing I will say is that whatever this is, the matrix, the divine universe, the simulation, will detail the experience to who you are and what you are capable of doing and what you're not capable, or what you're comfortable in doing and what you're not comfortable with doing. With me, I was like balls to the walls. I was like, let's do it all. I just want to make sure that I'm not afraid of anything so that I can do what needs to happen later down the road and help others face their demons, and I can't do that if I didn't face my own. So we may not have the same exact experience. That's the one thing the guy had told me when he walked. I really wish I remember his name. He was sexy. So he did tell me, he goes, it will always be specific to who you are and what your sole purpose is here. So if you're finding yourself at a crossroads where you kind of know what your sole purpose is, but you don't understand how you're going to get it done, this process might be something that reveals to you just how strong you are, and then there is no fear allowed in your scenario, so that you do things like I do now, which is directly try to address Elon Musk and try to address directly, my heartthrob Anderson Cooper, or approach Oprah Winfrey like I've done in the past. Like, that's not something that I would have done a year and a half ago, but that is the person that now stands before you, and it is because God asked me to be the highest expression of myself in this world. And yeah, I faced my demons, and yeah, people thought I would fail, and yeah, it looked like I did, and now I'm at the top of the mountain looking back and going, thank God I did this. So just know that I'm with you, and that I'm now serving as the gentleman who showed up at my bar, who welcomed me into a very, very private, elite group of individuals who are blessed in this world in ways that most people are not. If you're being called by something higher than yourself to take this chance, to do this fool's journey, let me be the one to welcome you to the experience and let you know that you will succeed and everything you ever wanted will come true. Why? Because we've led the way, and you're not part of that. It's a very, very select group of people, and that includes you. I just want to get on here and say that for tonight. It came to me today as I was about to try to sleep, but I thought it was very, very moving. And I thought, what better way to conclude my chapter on this and to begin something new? Love, life, a full abundance, not necessarily financial, but definitely spiritually, and definitely about love and unity. And I think that is the greatest reward for the journey that I've taken, and something that you should look forward to. Have a good night.